Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm Heidi McCutcheon of the Shelton-Mason County Chamber of Commerce. Incorporated in 1922, the Chamber is the oldest and largest business association in Mason County. Today we have nearly 400 members and represent nearly 6,000 employees across Mason County. We're proud to partner with the North Mason Chamber and Mason Web TV, powered by Hood Canal Communications, to bring you the 2020 Candidate Forum in Mason County. My pleasure to introduce Randy Neatherlin and Ted Jackson, candidates for Mason County Commissioner, District 1. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll begin with your introductory statements. You'll each have 2 minutes, and Randy, we will begin with you.
Okay, well, first off, let me start by just saying thank you for hosting this. Gives us an opportunity to talk with our friends and neighbors. My name is Randy Neatherlin, and I'm the current Mason County Commissioner. Now, when I first came on here as a commissioner, experience really did make a difference. I had spent 6 years as a Port of Allen commissioner, but aside from that, I spent many years as a planning commissioner, served as the chair. I served as the Transportation Infrastructure and Planning Committee. Literally, I've been involved in everything that was happening in our community since I've gotten here back in the 70s. With that being said, I've had some great challenges, and because of that experience, when I first came in, I was actually made chair of the county commission 15 minutes on my first day, and I had to overcome some pretty hard things. The first thing I had to overcome was a $2.2 million perk ruling that had nothing to do with me as a commissioner, but I walked into it because it was already there. Figuring out problems like that when you don't have money as it sits is hard enough, but the very next year I had $3.8 million I had to come up with. But because of that, it allowed me to do some shaping in the county government. We're able to streamline, actually changed our directors from 9 directors down to 3 directors to better serve the community and saving $1 million at the time. Other than that, I've spent all these years working extremely hard, bringing in businesses and trying my best to serve absolutely everybody in the community. I share my phone number with everybody. During this COVID, everybody's recognized that they could call on me for just about everything, including talking to me 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I make myself available. With that being said, we're sitting in the best position we've ever been in Mason County financially. And a lot of that has to do simply because we budgeted and we did well with the money that we had, and we lived within our means. I intend to continue to live within our means, and I ask that you consider supporting me again for another 4 years. I won't let you down.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you'll also have 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Yes, and thank you all very much. And thank you, Randy, for being here. I'll start off by saying that my wife and family and I have been here for over 24 years. We truly love Mason County, respect Mason County, and we definitely respect the citizens of Mason County. And as a former Fish and Wildlife Officer, Mason County Deputy, Port of Allen Commissioner, Community Supervisor, and former Police Chief, I've seen the unobstructed view of what's going on with Mason County and know the growth and challenges that we have in Mason County. I am running because I don't feel that we are getting fair representation in District 1. I believe that everybody needs to be listened to, not just a few. And I believe in many roles in serving this community have given me an unobstructed view of the challenges that lie ahead. So I am going to take a measured approach. I want to talk to people. I want to visit with people. The 3 or 4 o'clock phone calls are nothing new to me. In 30 years in law enforcement, I've had them all. And I just want to put people first. I want to make sure our school districts are taken care of and unencumbered. I want to better our businesses. And I want to work with not only the Economic Development Council, but I also want to work with our ports, our federal and other state governments and tribal governments to improve our businesses here in Mason County. In 24 years, I have not seen a business come into Mason County that's going to provide fair salaries that we can improve our cost of living. I have 2 daughters, both of them would love to stay in Mason County, but there's not a competitive wage where they can afford housing, and there's no reason for them to be here. They would love to stay here, but I'm trying to figure out how we can bring businesses in. Part of it is a lack of foresight in our county commissioners to improve the infrastructure to bring these businesses in.
Thank you, Ted.
You bet.
So with that, we'll move into the questions that the Chamber has prepared for you. As Randy began his introduction, we'll hear from Ted first on this portion. Ted, you'll have 1 minute to answer. Randy, you'll then answer the same question also with 1 minute. And then Ted, you'll have the opportunity for 30 seconds response if you choose. The first question is, what major change in departments, procedure, or otherwise at the county level would make things run more smoothly and efficiently? Ted, you have 1 minute. Oh, you're on mute, Ted.
Where am I?
There you go.
Am I good?
Yes.
We're losing county employees left and right. And as the last 9 months of I've been campaigning and talking to county employees, most of them that are leaving have told me there's a lack of leadership in Mason County. So one thing that I would do is provide that leadership. I've been a supervisor in law enforcement for over 25 years. I would provide that leadership to our county employees to keep them here. We are definitely losing good employees, and they are sad to leave Mason County. They want to stay here. So I would first off work with our county employees, our county supervisors, our department heads, our elected officials to make sure they instill that Mason County is a great place to live. You're not going to get as much salary as you do in King County or.
Thank you, Ted. Randy, you'll also have 1 minute for your answer.
Yeah, no, employees are always coming and going, but our turnover rate is not as bad as it used to be in years past, not by a long shot, but better than that. We've been able to improve their standard of living since I've been there. And again, I'm the commissioner that they call and they ask for the help. We have unions and stuff here, and so you don't just reach in as a commissioner and go and directly deal with the leadership there, except for the ones that are directly underneath you. You'll create a big problem with the unions by doing that. But with that being said, we have not been losing over the numbers that we had in the past, but better than that, Mason County is an incredible place to work, and there's been a lot of changes that occur. It's easy to look from the outside and say things, but on the inside, we can show how much love there is here when you look at just how much a Teamster contract agrees to do. When they agree to do 1.5%, you know you're doing something right, and I'll continue to do it right with them.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you'll have 30 seconds for final comments on the matter.
Yes, as a former county employee, that's not what I'm hearing. But at the same time, I'm the only commissioner that's ever been a union rep from the labor side and a union rep from the management side. So I know union contracts very well. And I can also tell you that our employees are frustrated. So I hope things improve one way or the other.
Thank you, Ted. Randy, you'll have 1 minute to answer the next question. And that is, how does the county balance the needs of public safety versus the limitations of the county budget?
You know, that's always the hardest job in this position. It just is. There's never enough money, no matter what you do. People would love to have an officer directly outside their door. We currently spend about $14 million on our sheriff's department yearly, which is a huge amount of money if you think about it. With that being said, we do have to balance what's best for the community and what we can afford to do. To give you an example of how well we've done, though, granted, they never have as much as they'd like, but in the last several years, they've been turning back hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. When we had the big budget cuts, to give you an example, we did those budget cuts without a single layoff in the for the deputies or the corrections officers, and that year they turned back $400,000. So there's still also a management issue when it comes to the financing. And again, there will never be enough, but we are balancing it. And as a matter of fact, this year we're probably going to be moving a little bit more forward as we move into the next year if no other catastrophe happens.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you'll also have 1 minute to answer the question.
Yeah, as the only county commissioner that ever spent time in public safety, the mandates that are coming down from the state and the federal government regarding training, I think our county commissioners have been short-sighted in anticipating those costs. It is going to be very high for the public safety to make sure our deputies are trained in the new rules and regulations that are coming out. How do we manage it? Well, we're going to have to look at the entire picture. And as I said, I'm the only one that's ever managed a police department. the only one that's ever worked in the police department, and I understand the cost of training. Basic firearms training, whether it's regards to ammunition or anything else, is very high. So you need to anticipate the cost of the ammunition. You need to anticipate the cost of a range time. You need to anticipate the cost of a deputy's time to go to defensive tactics. We need to have a county commissioner that actually understands what law enforcement and public safety is.
Thank you, Ted. Randy, you'll have 30 seconds for final thoughts on the matter.
Again, $14 million budget. They're turning back hundreds of thousands of dollars. Management, the commission doesn't direct what they do with the money as much as anybody would think. They have bottom line authority. With that being said, again, priorities have to come forward. They give their priorities. We do the best we can. Anything we give to them has to come from somebody else. We do more in this county than people could ever imagine with a budget that's smaller than North Mason school budget on the general fund side. With that being said, there's always going to be limitations and costs, and we just have to balance them.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you'll have the ability to answer this question first. Speaking of balance, how do we balance the needs of our residents versus the needs of our small businesses? What can be done to improve life for both? You have 1 minute.
Our small businesses are the backbone of Mason County. If you go through Belfair, you go through Shelton, I've watched the demise during this COVID pandemic of our small businesses. I know the chambers, both chambers, North Mason and the Shelton Chamber, are promoting our small businesses. We just need to keep on instilling in the public that our small businesses are the backbones. They're the ones that are providing the jobs for our residents to live in Mason County. And we need to just keep on promoting our small businesses here in Mason County. And as a county commissioner, I'll promote every small business we have. And I think I am very concerned with the COVID pandemic is that we are losing a lot of our small businesses, and we're going to have a slingshot effect to try to bring them back. So.
Thank you, Ted. Randy, you'll also have 1 minute to answer the question.
Yes, balancing the needs of the residents versus small business. As Ted had mentioned, small business is the backbone of everything, especially in our budget. People don't realize how much that they do bring into this community. But it's a give and take on both ends. We still need to keep a quality of life. But I'm the guy that literally works with all these businesses. You know, aside from being a port commissioner for the 6 years, I've actually worked with them and brought companies in here, many of them. Now, are they the bigger ones that I would love to bring with the super high wages? Maybe not as well as I would like, but at the same time, at least I'm bringing them in and I'm making things happen. With that being said, you know, the quality of life thing is important. But what we also need to balance between the two is homes. If we can't have affordable homes in our community, you're not going to be able to support those businesses. I've been very, very instrumental in bringing new homes to this community. We have a 300 unit apartment complex coming up into North Mason, along with 140 new homes. That's what's going to spur the businesses and help them to survive. It's working together on both sides of it just brings success to both avenues, people and business.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, 30 seconds for your last thoughts on the matter.
So I agree with what Randy said regarding homes. I don't like to call them affordable homes. I like to call them reasonably priced homes, because what's affordable to you may be not affordable to anybody else. So with that said, when we're looking at a building permit process that's taking people over 30 days, over 3 months to get a building permit, we need to start fixing that. That's the stranglehold in our community. And I know years ago, when I first built our home out here, it didn't take that long.
Thank you. The last question that we've prepared for you, Randy, you'll have 1 minute for your answer first. And that is, what is one policy, requirement, or initiative would you immediately revoke or institute at the county level, given the chance?
Actually, I can make it real simple. Bottom line authority on budget. I think the commission should take responsibility for the budget, and we'd be able to control some of the spending that is uncontrollable and untrackable if we had bottom line authority ourselves. But at this time, we give it to all elected officials. That's how everything is handled. There's no way around that right now. And with that being said, if I could change that, I think I could save this county a huge amount of money. That's all the time for that.
Ted, you also have 1 minute.
Well, that's a very good question. It's one to be honest, I didn't think about, but it brings to mind I-639, where all of our police chiefs and sheriffs regarding the use of firearms, locking up your firearms, is something that I don't think is constitutional, and I don't think it is enforceable. I know when that came through, as when I was a police chief, people were asking me if I was going to go into people's homes and confiscate their firearms. I would say no. And I think the county, especially rural counties like ours, should have a broad range approach when it comes to firearms and not do the blanket initiatives like we have in King County or Pierce County.
Thank you. Randy, you have 30 seconds for your final thoughts on the subject.
You know, this is being a county commissioner is a very important job, and there's a lot of work that goes into every aspect of this position. But one of the first ones is just knowing what your job is and what you can do. For myself, it's actually pretty simple to recognize that mentioned earlier were schools. We don't control the schools. They have elected officials. They control themselves. And we also don't control the legislature when it comes to those rules and regulations. You're not going to be able to do that from the county. There's a lot of things you can't do from the county, but again, I just hope that if anything does happen, we know our job when we get in there. That'll help us all.
Thank you. With that, we finish the portion of the chamber questions that we've prepared for you, and we will move into the questions that you have prepared for one another. We'll begin with Ted's question for Randy. Randy, you'll have 90 seconds to respond. Ted, you'll then have 30 seconds to rephrase or clarify the question. And Randy, you'll have 30 seconds to answer those final questions. So with that, the first question is, Washington State University's Mason County Employees Recent Survey concluded that Mason County government is in need of transparency in their operational model. What solutions have you provided? You have 90 seconds.
Many. But you got to remember, again, knowing the job is very, very important. From the commissioner's standpoint, there's a lot of elected officials, and they're the ones that are in control of their employees, and you can't change that because you get elected as a county commissioner. They are duly elected. They are allowed to run their operations as they run them, and the commission does not control them or have control over them. What we have control over is the budget. We set policy, but even when that's not followed, the only thing that the auditor does is come in and tell you that it's not followed. So when it comes to transparency and operations and management, we can only control what we have within our realm of employees, and we've done very good at opening that up. We've made some changes. Again, that's one of the things we did. We moved from 9 directors to 3 directors, and we've been working on it constantly. This is something that will never end. You have to constantly keep moving on this and keep trying to work with the employees to get that information to them. But one of the things I've always done is had the open door policy, but more than that, that phone, they call me all the time. I come down, I work with the issues myself to open it up. I'm the one person that they always feel that they can talk to. That's all.
Ted, you have 30 seconds to clarify or respond.
Yes, like I said, the last 9 months since I've been talking to county employees from all sides, this is one of the largest issues they feel is that the commissioners operate in a bubble. They're very concerned that they have no input, no say, no nothing. And as a police chief, one of the biggest things I did was I worked with the city council, and I, especially with the budget, I would get my sergeants involved in the budget. I don't see the county commissioners operating in a transparent manner.
Thank you. Randy, you have 30 seconds for final remarks.
Sure, words are easy to say. You can always say they say this or they think that, but that doesn't make it a reality. And you can always say it's not transparent. Again, I'm the one guy that talks to them all the time. I don't have the issues that you're thinking, but better than that, they reach out to me, so I know they have trust for me.
Thank you. Next question, Randy or Ted. Randy has prepared for Ted. Randy, you'll have 90 seconds to respond. And it is budget is one of the most important jobs of a county commissioner. What are the 3 parts of the Mason County budget, and what changes or improvements would you make to the budget process? Ted, 90 seconds.
Well, thank you, Randy, for asking this. This is one of the main reasons why I started running or thinking about running for county commissioner. Is I look at our budget and I go online and I start researching it. All I see is numbers, line items. There's no transparency. There's nothing that says why the Public Works Department wants more money, why they want staff, what they're going to do better for the community. It's not a story. The last place I worked as a police chief, I had to write a story. What we did, what our mission, what our values were, and why I'm going to spend this money and how it's going to improve the city. So that's one big thing, is that I think our community and our community members need to see what's going on with the budget. And I would make it an interactive group with all the department heads. It's not a hard process where they write their story. They tell us what they want, how they're going to do it, and what they're going to spend the money on and how it's going to benefit the community. So that's another improvement. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take much. I've done it before. I've also done it in state government and county government. So those are the processes that I would do. The budget process in Mason County is very, very much held secretly. Only a few people actually get involved in it.
Thank you, Ted. Randy, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Obviously, you've never watched any of our budget briefings because we have them constantly when we're working on our budget. And I want to remind you of something when you're talking about the transparency, but we have done it, the narratives. But the only problem with the narratives is they don't matter as much, and they're worthless because there's a thing called, as I explained earlier, bottom line authority. They write in there what they want the money for and what they want to use it for, but when the time comes, they spend it how they want. And that's not something you can do without changing the bottom line authority of the elected officials. It'd be nice if we could, but there's a reality with having ideas.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you have 30 seconds for final remarks.
Yeah, I absolutely disagree. And I suggest you look at the City of DuPont budget process. Very transparent, very open. The end result is something that the public is very proud of. And I don't agree with you whatsoever, is that everybody has a say in the budget. And if you look at how many people are actually watching your budget meetings, there's only a handful, very few. So somebody like me that's looking at the county budget, I should be able to just go to the county budget and see a story. Who wants what?
Thank you, Ted. Randy, the next question Ted has prepared for you. And the question is, what is your position on mandatory basic training and incident command system for all county employees? You have 90 seconds to discuss.
Yeah, I am very supportive of it, and even more than that, we've had discussions on trying to get that training out there. Now, we had a few years where things were financially really troubled, but we were able to come out of that. And right now, we are in the strongest financial position we've ever been in the history of Mason County. We got to make sure that we're not overcome by the state if they change things and whip a bunch of money away from us, because they do have that authority. No, I'm very supportive of it, and I hope we can pull that off within the next budget cycle, if not more. I'm going to use some of this time, though, to explain one last little thing on your comment on the budget, Ted. A county is not a city. They do things completely different, and there are elected officials in a county, and every elected official is their own entity, elected by the people, and they control their own departments. We have control over a budget, but once they get it, again, they have bottom line authority. If I give them $1 million for training and they spend it on new equipment, there's nothing I can do about that. That is the way it works. And we can't come to them afterwards, ask for the money back. When we've had issues before, we had one time where there was $850,000 in wages that we were trying to find that got spent in another way. Because of that, that's why we separated out the budget. But the answer was they didn't have to tell us or explain it to us or show it to us. As long as it's legal, they're allowed to do it. That's how it works. It's not like a city. I wish it was.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you have 30 seconds to clarify or respond.
No, it's Randy's been in office for 8 years. Incident training is something I implemented and the mayor implemented in DuPont. And it really came to fruition when we had the DuPont train derailment, is that every employee had basic incident command. And Randy, if you know, it's free training through FEMA. It does cost hourly wages for the employees to attend, but I think under leadership, our employees would do that. And I totally understand with regards to a county.
Thank you, Ted. Randy, you have 30 seconds to make any final remarks.
Yeah, again, I don't disagree. We have had certain types of trainings that we've been able to put on for all the staff, but of course, it's always hard to do anything when you're looking at 400 different people all over. But I'm not going to disagree with them. I would like to move forward with getting some more training to all of our people in order to keep them all safe. I think it's important, so I'm not going to disagree with them.
Thank you. The next question Randy has prepared for you, Ted, is what is the biggest issue facing Mason County and what specific steps will you take to fix it? You have 90 seconds to respond.
Well, 9 months ago, I would have said something separate, or different. But now I'm saying this COVID pandemic, our loss of businesses, our loss of employees, people on unemployment, people that are just trying to survive day to day, and then how we're going to bring our businesses back. In my current position as a nonprofit executive, I deal with people every day that are struggling. So what am I going to do to bring it back? Is one, start looking at other businesses that come into Mason County. I really do think we've done a poor job in recruiting businesses into Mason County, whether it's not working with the EDC, our port districts, and other entities to bring in businesses. I will be looking at that. So I'm concerned over the next 8 months to a year that we're going to have people going to food banks, going to other places to just get the necessities they need. And it's very concerning to me because I see it every day. So I would be starting right now recruiting as many businesses, trying to figure out what properties they can buy and bring these businesses in so we can start bringing up our tax base and start offering jobs. A lot of our business is going to be closed down forever, and we can't have that. I'd also start using our CARE dollars and COVID dollars to support our businesses.
Thank you, Ted. Randy, you have 30 seconds to clarify or respond.
Yeah, I didn't hear much of a plan there. I heard some different comments. One thing to know is when I first started, we had an unemployment rate of 11.8%. It got down to 5.3% by bringing in those businesses that you're saying that don't exist. And I do work with the EDC. I've been on the board of the EDC for all these years. As a Port of Allen commissioner, you have somebody that sits on the board also, and it's not you. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen you at any of them. But we do work to bring them in, and we have been successful. Look at how North Mason has been booming, and you'll see I've been doing it directly. But it's still the biggest issue.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, 30 seconds for final remark.
First off, I don't take credit for other people's work, but at the same time, as a port commissioner, there's one port commissioner assigned to the EDC, and I'm not it. That person's been there for the last 5 years. So I totally disagree. I look at the businesses in Belfair area, North Mason. They're not household wage businesses. Thank goodness that some of our businesses have stepped up over the COVID and started hiring some of our high school kids so they could actually earn some money.
Thank you, Ted. Randy, the final question Ted has prepared for you is, why did you not attend Emergency Operations Center meetings in the first 3 months of the pandemic? You have 90 seconds to respond.
None of us did except for the chair because it would be open meeting to the public. After the first couple of months, as you said, we do different things through committee. That was the chair's committee. And other commissioners don't jump into other people's stuff. As I said, it creates a problem. But after we sat down and started talking that she asked for some help within those committees to have a say and be a part of that, then we did. And I attend them regularly on a regular basis. That's it.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you have 30 seconds to clarify or respond.
Yeah, those, luckily I was invited to attend the first few meetings during the pandemic, in which I can't thank the emergency management team enough to invite a nonprofit executive director. And I think it's paid dividends for our county. But I can totally disagree. Those meetings were placed on web. Any county commissioner could have chimed in without violating the open meeting, and they didn't. And I can tell you firsthand, our employees were upset.
Thank you, Ted. Lastly, Randy has prepared this question for you, Ted. The question is, what are your specific business and/or job development plans for Mason County? You have 90 seconds to respond.
It would be nice if we had, besides OCC, if we had a trade school here in Mason County, if we were recruit a trade school here. I think we have the property, we have the clientele to do something as in welding, auto mechanics. And I think that's a lack of foresight that if we didn't recruit something like a Clover Park Technical School, college, to come in or at least do an expansion here in Mason County, that would be wonderful. And then job development plans for Mason County. I'm trying to figure out what that means, but we need jobs. We really do need jobs. You know, we came close to, Amazon is on the other side of the border. Kitsap County is going to be picking up the revenue. I scratch my head and go, why wasn't Amazon placed on the Mason County side? I'm starting to understand why, but that's something that we lost an opportunity for. That would have been job development. So, I mean, it's kind of an open-ended question. What specific business and job development plans you have for Mason County? We need jobs. We really do. Like I said, I have 2 daughters that would love to be here, and they go, "There's nothing here for me, Dad." So there's no jobs. But that's all.
Thank you. Randy, you have 30 seconds to clarify or respond.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is it's so easy to say some of the things you say. We need jobs, we need people, we need to get this kind of a high-paying job. That's all great, but what are you going to actually do? As a port commissioner for 6 years, that was your job, is economic development. That's not the county. That we pay an ADO to do that. That's your job. But with that being said, the reason why they didn't come here is we didn't have an EIS, of which we're working on. But that was a huge project. But I've been bringing in businesses for all these years. I go and knock on the doors and personally ask them and bring them here. That's why they come.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you have 30 seconds if you wish to make any final remarks.
Yes, I'm still trying to find those businesses, Randy. And as a port commissioner currently, I've seen what you did as a port commissioner previously, and it seemed to focus on an oyster house that we're still dealing with now. And if it wasn't for my leadership, that oyster house would have been dilapidated, and Bonnie Knight's leadership. We were able to get funding for that, but we had to go an extra mile to do that. The Port of Allen has basically been a park district. I haven't seen any businesses that the Port of Allen has brought in, even under your tenure.
Thank you. Well, that concludes our candidates' questions for one another. With that, we'll move into closing statements. Randy, we'll hear from you first. You'll have 2 minutes.
I did clarify, you realize you had one, you didn't let me have my 30 seconds after the fact.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
on one of the other ones. I could take it on this one if you want.
Certainly.
Okay. So no, again, Ted, you must not have been paying attention then, because I did bring in the jobs. They may not be jobs that you wanted, but I brought them in. We're talking about Taco Bell, you're talking about Inceptive Group, you're talking about quite a few others that I've literally reached out. And as a port commissioner, I'm the one that got the last piece for the water system. I'm the one that also helped to bring in other businesses as a port commissioner, but we also had the infrastructure brought up here down the street at Lakeland. There was a lot that was done, but at near 6 years, I hadn't seen anything from you. Matter of fact, I haven't seen you anywhere for the bypass or any of the things in all these years.
Thank you. That concludes our candidates' questions for one another. With that, we'll move into closing statements. Randy, we'll hear from you first. You have 2 minutes.
Just 30 seconds, but there you go. So thank you, everybody, for having me on today and letting me give you an opportunity to understand some of the things that we've actually done and the difference between Ted and myself. Ted's a good man. I take nothing away from that, but I got to tell you, there's quite a big difference for it. I am everywhere. I've been involved with every aspect that's come through our community way before I was ever a county commissioner. I've been doing this for many years because this has been my top priority, is to take care of this community. I came here when I was 15 years old. I had left home. I came here for a while. I lived in a little trailer with no power, no water. This community took me in and raised me. By the time I was a senior in high school, I had 3 businesses and I was the ASB president. I owe this community everything, and that's why I do the things that I do. But you will find me in all these years at all the meetings for the bypass. I'm the one that helped put together the West Sound Alliance that brought us the funding for the bypass. I was there when Olympic Panel and Simpson had sold. I was there to help get those people their training and education dollars. I was also there to help Sierra Pacific come in and testify for them. I literally have been involved with every aspect of everything that's been important in this community. The one thing I know for sure, in all those years, the one thing I haven't seen is you. And that's kind of important. We come in and we start talking about ideas and things that we'd like to accomplish, not even knowing the job, but at the same time thinking you're going to accomplish it, but you haven't even been working at it for all these years. Ted, I have great respect for the service that you've given to this community, but that doesn't mean that you can come in and just think that doing a county commission job is that easy and that ideas will get it done. It takes all the work and it takes the involvement every single day. I do what I do and I take the abuse that I get sometimes because I love this community. I don't apologize for that. And I help every single person that calls me. It's never one person. It's never a specific group. Everybody is part of the collective that we take care of here at this county. And that's why everybody calls me.
Thank you, Randy. Ted, you have 2 minutes for your final statement.
Yes, I'd like to thank the Shelton Chamber and North Mason Chamber, and Randy, thank you very much. And I know being a county commissioner is not an easy job. That's why I'm looking for it. I'm looking to explore and try to better our community. In 30 years in law enforcement, I understand 3 things: integrity, honesty, and transparency. And those 3 things are important to be an effective leader. I don't believe they're here in District 1. And when you talk about things that you did, I really wish in the future, whether I win or lose, that you start including the people that actually do the job. You may say you're there, you may say I'm not there, but I've been there. And I have watched what has happened in the Port of Allen, and I'm very disappointed. We are trying to grow things, we are trying to do things, but we've been inhibited by some of the decisions that you made previously. So as a commissioner, I will set a high ethical standard for our community. I will hold myself above everybody else. I will not be beholden to a certain group or a certain group of friends. I will listen to everybody. I'm used to the 3 o'clock and the 4 o'clock in the morning phone calls. Unfortunately, I just didn't get phone calls, Randy. I strapped a uniform on and had to respond. So I've been endorsed by all the local law enforcement agencies in the community, including Sheriff Salisbury, the Deputies Guild, the Fraternal Order of Police, and many retired law enforcement officers. And they have faith in me as to become the county commissioner because they know my ethics and integrity are below none. I will work every day to earn trust. I will work every day to build trust. And I'll work every day to make sure Mason County. 8 years of experience really doesn't matter, to be honest with you. You may know the job now, but when you're in my position 8 years ago, you didn't know the job. And I am out there, Randy. I just don't talk about myself. I talk about others. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Ted. And thank you, Randy. That concludes our Commissioner District Candidate Forum for tonight. Our thanks to all of our candidates for joining in our forums. On behalf of the Shelton-Mason County Chamber and our partners, the North Mason Chamber of Commerce and Mason Web TV powered by Hood Canal Communications, thank you for watching.